Okay, excellent connection.
Wow, and now we are live. Welcome. We should have some sort of like a duff at the start of our podcast.
We have my intro, but
What intro?
just
Yeah,
one sec.
your
It's live
intro.
now. It's live now, but we have no. There's no video.
What do you mean there's no video? So people can hear us, but they can't see us?
Well, they might not be able to hear us either. So I don't know what's happening.
Something unplugged there.
Hmm. Oh no, it's coming. Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay.
Are you sure we're live and people can actually hear us?
Yeah.
Rather than sitting here and talking
No, they
together
can.
for 3 hours. No,
Well-
not that. How many people are watching right now? Half?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. I'm not going to go further than that. Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the Masjid Carpark. Are we gearing up for a federal election or what? Are the parties freaking out or what? Are Muslims losing the plot or what? Or not or what? Or what wasn't the right way to do it? But anyway, it's a start. Malana, tell me, brother.
I
Give
think
me some words of wisdom. Actually, we shouldn't go straight into it. First of all, the deer turned out all right.
the what?
The deer meat. Jazakallah khair.
Oh yeah, sorry.
So last week when Malana went on his hunting spree, his slaughtering spree,
Yeah.
he gave us...
Sorry, greens. Sorry, my vegan friends.
How many vegan friends do you have?
None.
You know, there's have you heard of fruitarians? Well, I think whatever it's called. No, not fruitarians. There's a group.
Yeah, they just eat fruit.
No, there's a group that eat
Bunch
only
of fruitcakes, if you tell me.
No. They only eat fruit and veg that have fallen off the tree because it's died a natural death.
Yeah. I think you mentioned it before. Yeah.
Right? So they're your mates. Anyway.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
like
so-
you're eating like infirm,
I don't know.
retired fruit.
Can you imagine like trying to explain that to an old person from the subcontinent? Forget about like even here, but just like your grandma from the subcontinent
Yeah.
trying to explain, okay, so what we do here is we wait for the fruit to fall off the tree.
Mm.
No. Anyway, back to the deer. We made, the missus did, I didn't, made curry, slow cooked curry, deer curry.
Did it cook? Can it turn out right?
It turned out all right.
Yeah.
It was a bit dry.
Yeah.
That wasn't her cooking, that was the deer, right? Let's make that clear, right? But yeah, it wasn't bad. It was interesting.
Yeah.
And
Which one did you cook? The frozen one or the backstrap?
the backstraps.
Backstrap. Yeah, that's
so
the
the
best meat.
backstraps were cut into chops.
Yeah.
The frozen ones are still frozen,
Yeah.
so we haven't had a chance to attack
Yeah.
those yet.
Yeah, like if it's because it's like a game meat, so easiest way to cook is a pressure cooker or slow cook, as you said. Yeah.
The thing is, if you
How long is slow cook? Like 10 hours or something, isn't it?
I wasn't home.
Start in the
Yeah,
morning.
probably
until
about 10 hours because I wasn't home for 10 hours.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about this. If you get into deer meat,
Mm-hmm.
you never have to pay for meat again.
I mean, it depends on.
Just go out once a week, once every 2 weeks. But is that going to be healthy eating that much deer or that much game?
It depends on what else you're eating.
Okay.
So it should be okay. Yeah, as long as you clean it.
I'm assuming there's countries in the world where that's all they have because they don't have sheep or goats.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like,
I haven't looked into it.
yeah, I don't think there's anything is like deer pox, like monkeypox. I don't think there is any deer pox.
So it's better to eat deer than monkey.
I think if it's animal is healthy, then the meat should be healthy. I mean, how much difference can it be from the difference between that and like farm
Yeah.
animals? I mean, the one thing is that they do give antibiotics to farm animals. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, that's another thing. But like, if it's like they're always getting sick and then you're giving them antibiotics, then like over medicated,
That's a
and
good
you're eating
point.
that as well. But
There's no fat on that meat.
there's no fat. Yeah.
That's what blew me
Yeah.
away.
So what you do is if you do get a hunt, the advice that I got for hunters is
I'm going with
they
you
have
next
hunters
time.
have like friends that are butchers, and so what they make a deal basically like all right, you take a third of the meat and I will keep a quarter of the meat or the rest of the meat, and then they prepare in all the cuts and everything, and like they make a mince with lamb fat they mixed into it. So that's where you get the for barbecuing
that makes sense
and
for the taste and everything.
Yeah. So
it is a very dry. It's phenomenal how There's literally no fat on it.
Yeah, I mean it's running all day.
Yeah,
that thing is.
there's no
I
fat.
mean, when you see deers, especially this type of deer, it's like not hanging around. Like it's very
active.
It's very active. So as soon as it knows somebody's close, it just disappears.
But but you think the size of this thing,
Yeah.
it'd be lethargic or a bit slow. But
No.
Allahu Akbar, the muscles on those feet must be crazy.
Yeah, there's like, like you can pull out. The thing is 200 kilos, and that's a female. The male is 300 kilos. The female is 150, a full grown, 150, 200 kilos. So it's massive. Like in deer size, that's the third biggest. After elk and moose is the third, sambar deer. And you can shoot them. They're massive. Like they're taller than a human being, like your height. You'll be standing up like a.
Well, I'm not very tall. So.
No, but like no, you're not. You're not short. So
no.
it's a it's so like its head will be above your head.
Wow.
Yeah.
Funny that you said that. The missus always telling me how short I am. And she goes, "But you identify like a 6'6" white guy."
Yeah.
Right. Anyway, I feel like we're gearing up for elections. We have council elections coming up in different areas. We have state elections.
When's the state election?
I don't know here, but
it's a while from now. I think we're mixing up with New South because we had one recently.
Yeah,
we had ours. It's like a year ago or something. 2 years ago.
Right, it's been a blur.
Yeah. So, and the federal was last year. So, there's a lot of council elections.
There are a lot of council elections.
So,
and council elections are a good barometer. For federal results and things like that. So people do throw a lot of weight towards them. I find it interesting how people are reacting to these things. Like, if you want to give a logical...
When you say people, are you talking about Muslims?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand why the Muslim world is the way it is.
I think you understand why the subcontinent is the way it is.
Oh, brother.
The reason is like because so for those who don't,
it's purely based on emotion.
So if you don't understand, if you just have a look at election time in like South Asia, and just in general, the amount of posters that are put up, the amount of like in Australia, you'll be like drive past where the voting booth is and you wouldn't notice, and they're only allowed to give out little leaflets and something comes in your mail nicely and you can read it in your comfort of your home, and the local MP or the opposition.
You make a decision based on policies and
you can go online and it's very calm. There's no biryani tents and that's what they do. They collect people in the area and feed them biryani and
say vote for this guy.
Yeah. Like there's a lot of that going on.
So it's basically bribing with biryani.
I mean, there's a talk there, and then it's a very it's a specific type of politics, right? Very dirty as well. And I think in the current climate with what's happening in Palestine, in Gaza, Muslims are politically activated.
It's what I'm enjoying seeing. Yeah, there's some the conversation sometimes is like speak logic. I don't know how else to put it. Be logical. Put your argument forward.
Yeah.
Don't put an emotional argument forward.
Yeah.
Say A, B, C has done X, Y, Z.
Exactly.
This is their thing, and this is how it benefits us in the future. And then that's what an informed decision is.
Correct.
But when you have people getting emotional, I've got to be very careful with the words I use here. When you have people getting emotional and you have people steering away from logic, and the mind boggles, right? And then it's just all about. Then there's this superiority complex of I know better than you, so you might as well just listen to me, but you're not giving me anything. Yeah. Right? It's just your arguments are purely based on you.
I know people in Melbourne, their families come from political families, right? I'm talking about Pakistani families, right?
Yep.
So the idea of politics over there is that this seat belongs to this clan.
Yeah, okay.
So whoever the clan puts up,
that's
right?
it.
So it's like a hereditary position it's not the whole clan, like somehow like out of, sort of like it's like democracy, but then it's got its own flavor, right?
Yeah.
But the flavor is like very feudal. It's feudalism. It's feudalism, but in the shape of a democracy.
The thing is, we need to leave that behind.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
like
not
it's
because he's my relative or my best mate. Like if you're, for example, if you're running on a platform that I disagreed with, you know, I tell you. If I was doing the same, you tell me in no uncertain words. However, we wouldn't be emotional or personal attack or anything like that, and not just because we're friends, but because it's not logical.
Yeah,
and I think this is what lets us down. We get into pure emotion. Maybe some people just get, I don't know, are people getting payoffs? Like people getting kickbacks? It almost feels like that, right?
like from the big parties.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm really
like people getting
concerned.
People getting parachuted in certain areas.
I'm concerned.
Yeah, like I saw something in our community, and I don't know anything about the person, and there might be a good person, a bad person in one area in Melbourne, and like for local council elections are going on at the moment everywhere. So that's like a hot topic in the community. And so I think under the Gaza, there's a lot of Gaza being thrown around. For
you know what frustrated me today?
For people's how would I say, personal launch of their careers,
bro.
Let me finish that. So some people might be genuinely actually working. I'm not saying that all are, but it's like I have to look at it. If you want to become a politician, I have to look at you with suspicion,
100%.
Right?
Yep.
I have to look at suspicion. That's the system that we're in, and why should we trust the police? Like, why should we trust the politicians? Like, we know what politicians like world over. And like we have enough track record now of history of politicians, what they do, for me to automatically assume that you are sincere.
Because you've got a Muslim name.
Exactly.
Right?
And
this is the key here for Muslims.
Yeah.
Right? Because in these conversations, no, you finish first. Sorry, I keep
interrupting. So the Muslim thing is like, there is almost like a, this has got nothing to do with let's simplify to a basic level.
Please do.
Which is, if I have a local service provider for something, and one is a Muslim and one is not a Muslim, but I know that the non-Muslim's not going to cheat me or do the job properly, who am I going to go to? Is the non-Muslim.
And would you look at their reviews?
Huh? Yeah. I mean, I would judge the person based on, well, if you might know someone personally, it's different. Let's say if you didn't know them, then I would check
their track record.
And that's what I would base my judgment on, just for simply fixing my car, let alone run my suburb or deal with the issues of my suburb community. Why would it be any different?
Okay, so say there's two.
So I would look at the best person for the job, based on their track record.
Okay, use phones for example. Vodafone has got great coverage in the city, shocking coverage out in the country. Telstra's got amazing coverage everywhere. Right?
Optus?
No.
Really?
It's Telstra.
Okay.
Sorry, bro.
No, Telstra
because I go bush a lot.
Yeah.
Not just the camping, just work, like
because I'm with Optus. I'm with Optus.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah. I'm with Vodafone right now. I've got to change to Telstra.
Yeah.
Because when I go out there's nothing.
Yeah.
Right now, if
that was one of my jobs, like in Telstra, was looking at coverage maps and
I know.
Yeah, anyway.
Right. If where was I going with this? Yeah. So if I see that Telstra's got better coverage, but it's with a non-Muslim, but they've done more, and it matches what the Muslims need more, as opposed to Vodafone, of course I'm going to go to Telstra.
Yeah.
Even though it's run by non-Muslim.
And
this is my argument. People say this has been going around a lot. Oh, he's a Muslim. How are we abandoning the Muslim? So if we use that argument for politics, that means when I go shopping, I should only go to a Muslim shop. When I buy a car, I should only buy from Muslims.
Yeah.
When I buy a house, I should only buy from Muslims. When I go for a haircut, I should only go to Muslims. Literally every single aspect of my life should only be dealing with Muslims, because how can we abandon the Muslim? Even if they're more expensive, even if they're going to rip you off.
Yeah.
Right. Unfortunately, but that's not the case. But here, why are we saying because they're a Muslim we have to just deal with that? That's what I'm struggling to understand. And also,
when in a situation it is, as I gave the example, I know that this person is going to do dodgy, and doesn't mean automatically every Muslim. There are my mechanics generally have been people that I know personally, and they generally are Muslims, right? But these are far few in between that like I know on a personal basis, and they've always, like for the last 20 years, right? And because I generally been in areas Muslim, and I know the people personally, and I'll take the thing with them, And if they get out, do something wrong, then next Jummah I'll shut their business, in the khutbah. But I've dealt with brothers like that. But let's say in a situation I didn't know anybody and I came to a new area and suburb, and we ask the people, do you recommend anybody?
Yeah.
And someone might not recommend anybody. All right, then I'll have to check it myself. Then I'll just look for the guy who's got the best prices, reviews, and all that sort of stuff. Why would that be? This is my thing. Is like, why would that be any different to a politician? Like, yes, if it's the brother turns up at the mosque or the sister turns up, and overtly is showing their Islamic credentials, right?
Would you back off or would you go more? Would you be like, oh yeah, sweet?
I mean, you would consider it because they're sort of reaching out to you. But would I promote them? No, 100% not. I will not promote anybody like a candidate anywhere on anything.
In your masjid?
Well, it's not my masjid, but
you know what I mean. You're the Imam of Ummah Center. I don't mean your masjid. Like,
I
mean, it's your personal fiefdom, but you are the Imam of Ummah Center.
Yeah.
You do give Jummah khutbas. Would you endorse
not a Jummah? No way.
Okay.
My personal view is that a Jummah, فَسَعُوا إِلَىٰ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, hasten to the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Masjid is there for a specific purpose, and it should not be maligned or affiliated with, like party politics and these type of sort of stepping ladder to be used, and that's not the place for masjid. You can hire the hall, like for example in our mosque we have a hall. Hire the hall, or even ask the mosque for free, and they'll probably give it for free, and say we want to have an event. Like let's say that Labour wants to have an event, or Greens want to have an event, and we want to invite the Muslim community and address them. Most mosques will say yes, right? Do it on Saturday night. A lot of the community will turn up, and you can actually address them and the community generally.
But you've hired the hall, you've made it separate from the masjid. This is our program we're doing.
Yeah, you're addressing the community still, that those are interested, but you're not forcing.
The mosque isn't endorsing it.
Like forcing on the Muslim community on Jummah where they're not there for that purpose.
Okay.
And like, if there's I understand that there's a community need, but also like, there's specific warnings about masjids. Even I feel funny about car park announcements in the masjid.
What about the
if
masjid
someone
car park?
there's a hadith meaning more or less when a person loses some property and he comes to the mosque to announce it, then there's wordings that is mentioned in hadith that you should say to him, may you not find it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say that to them, right? That may you not find it. And or a person who is doing business in the masjid, then say to them that may Allah not make you profit in the business. So I was reading that in a book the other day. So that shows you the sanctity of the place. So masjid is kind of like unique, but then also
it's neutral.
Yeah, it's not politics. So it's a house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to make careful what we do there. That's one thing. That's a separate matter. That's a masjid related matter. But this issue of like forcing upon the Muslim community certain candidates because they are Muslim, but without like we understanding who they are. Firstly, we don't know who they are sometimes.
They come out of the blue.
They do come out of the blue. We don't know who they are. Secondly, and I'm not speaking about anybody because it's so happening. I'm in different areas. Like I live in one area.
It's literally happening all over Australia.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like you're exposed to, I work in 3 places, like 3 councils. So I see it, I see in one there's more Muslims, one there's lesser Muslims. And I think the person you might not know, number one. Number 2, their track record you have to look at. Like you have to look at the individual, then you have to look at their track record, right? And then where is their future headed? Like if they are coming as a ALP, Labour Party, so you want to be part of the Labour Party. If you're telling me that you're going to be part of the Labour Party and help Gaza, well, we know what happened to Senator Payman. What happened to her? So she's an independent now.
Yep.
Right? She's out. So she went to the top and got pushed aside. You're at the bottom end, the starting point. Yeah. No way. They're going to weed you out and churn you, and by the time if they finish with, you're not even going to get anywhere. They're gonna use you temporarily.
Unless you sell your soul to the devil.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to now, like a new Muslim leader has been created. This is just to fool the Muslims for the short term, and then.
And I reckon the guy that's being used or the girl that's being used doesn't even know it.
I don't think they have this. Wallah, they're
that
probably
awareness.
There's a sophistication probably to know that. But I'm looking at the end result. The senator.
See, you're talking about this. You know what frustrates? Before I forget this, what I was trying to say before. People are discussing in various places the Palestine issue. There are some people that are calling it the new issue, or don't play the Palestine card. That's Muslims.
Yeah.
This is what the Zionists
Muslims are saying
doing.
that.
Muslims are saying don't use the Palestine card.
Mm.
How do you be calm and not react to that? Like that I didn't. But what I'm saying is, how have we stooped so low that now it's a card, now it's a thing?
Yeah, but I think what they mean is that in the political realm, that this shouldn't be. It should not be a singular. This singular issue should not be dictating your decision.
But don't you
calculation?
Think, but it should. But don't you think it should?
I think that's what they're saying. I don't think they're belittling it. I think they're talking. Well, in this politics game, like look at the England situation. What happened in England?
Right, England was a setup.
No.
To make the far right do this, so that
no, not that. The election. I'm talking about the election.
Oh, okay.
So in the election, the Muslims did go hard. Farage and all these other people, they even the Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, he brought up and I think there is a distaste of religious politics that you do. I think this Muslim vote in what do you call it what's it called, the Muslim vote?
Muslim vote matters.
Yeah, I think this is misplaced in my opinion. I think it's probably for the Gaza issue. It's a lightning rod issue. Yeah. That's a lightning rod issue. So it may be has made Muslims more politically conscious, and but I think it's misplaced in the sense that it won't, like in UK, the system is too big. I know that's like a defeat. It sounds like defeatist, but it's not about being defeatist.
Sound like defeatist.
It's more about being realistic. And I'm not saying not do anything and not do this, but I'm just saying like what you should expect.
So what's the other solution?
Well, the Gaza one, like we can see what the solution is. It's those are things that the neighboring countries will really have to.
They're not going to know. Where I'm coming from is this: with this Muslim vote matters.
Yeah,
I'm not in it, but with the Muslim vote matters, it's waking people up. Maybe this election,
but this is in the UK. Impact. They went so hard on the Muslim vote. There, it resulted.
I don't think they're going that hard here.
No. I'm saying I'm saying that they went like they thought that they had. Think a lot of most Muslim voted Labour still.
Which is mind-boggling.
And here, no, it's not mine. Well, we mentioned this before as well. There's intergenerational, there's blue collar, there's connected to unions, blah, blah, blah. So all those sort of things. So people do take it into, the single issue is not an issue for them, because I know it's a terrible thing to say it's a single issue. No, it's the issue of our probably generation. And it's like shocking. But at the same time, like realpolitik, like what's actually happening.
So how do we change it? This is a genuine question. This is not putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
How do we make these? And if anyone's got any ideas, if anyone's listening, give us some ideas.
I think the least is we should look for people that are have done a lot, and also on the issue have actually pushed it at a, and
come out and spoken up about it.
Yeah. And the only people that you'll find is like from the very far left.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come from the Labour Party, and it's not going to come from the Liberal Party. And it'll become from Green or Green likes or Socialist or something like that. Yep. And I think you have to find the person that is the most. There is the one that is least harmful.
Okay.
If there is anything as like as a Muslim vote, then we should look at the one that is least harmful for the Muslims. I'm talking about weigh up all the pros and cons.
Yep.
Weigh all the overseas conflicts,
foreign policy.
Yeah, those that are supplying weapons to the enemies of Muslims, killing Muslims, or starting wars, igniting wars in Muslim lands. Yeah, those are the most harmful thing. That's more pressing than anything else. So have a look at that. Now it will turn out,
rather than your local park,
the LGBT issue will, those parties usually be very pro thing, but that's
I disagree with you. This one I've got.
No. I haven't finished what I said. So they usually are very pro on that. And they're very supportive of all those sort of issues, but you got to weigh up all the pros and cons. There is a view that is expressed by our many ulama as well that you should not vote, right? So I was speaking to some people overseas.
You'll get a fine. So you got to do a donkey vote.
Sorry?
You'll get a fine in Australia.
Yeah, you have to vote. Voting's compulsory, and do a donkey or dummy vote, and don't actually vote. Just fill a blank or whatever. Or some nasiha or something. When people fill it with all sorts of things, you can go online.
Fear
fine.
Allah.
Yeah, or whatever,
Free Palestine.
I don't believe in democracy and I just don't want to pay the fine. But the thing is that you still have to vote. You're still voting, even if it's a donkey vote. And
might as well make it count.
And I was speaking to somebody yesterday about it, and they said, well, I said a donkey vote. Like imagine that we have to vote an issue. There's 5 of us. 2 vote one way, which is harmful or less harmful. 2 vote and it's more harmful, right? 2 people, humanity. I mean, a war is not good for Muslims or non-Muslims, right?
Yep.
Starting a war for the weapon manufacturers. And then I have my vote. I'm reducing like to the basic.
You're doing the Vulcan salute.
Yeah. So let's say
Go forth and prosper.
so you're now the deciding vote if you reduce down to the basic, and you're saying that I'll remain neutral because they're all bad, but your vote counts. That's the system we're in, right?
Yeah.
You can say I don't want to be part of it, but you're part of it whether you like it or not. You know, you got to pay taxes whether you like it or not. You know, and on and on and on. So you can say you're not part of it. You can put your head in the sand and pretend it doesn't exist. The reality doesn't exist. The world doesn't exist that you're in, but you're in it. So either you do something that, as given, this is what many ulama say, that you have been given a say. You're going to say, use it. Why not use it? Instead of saying going to be neutral, because then we're supporting all the other things that sort of extreme left parties that they bring, which is like LGBT and all that sort of stuff. But the thing is that ship has sailed. I'm not saying that's right. It's haram. Mufti Sayyid Palampur, rahmatullah, one of the great muftis he passed away a few years ago in India, and he was a Shaykh al-Hadith of Darul Deoband and so forth. And he was in Canada, I believe, and they asked him about that, and this is like 20 something years ago, Iraq war time, if I remember correctly, Afghanistan, Iraq war. And they said when they put everything before him, this is pre same-sex marriage bill, all those sort of things, he said, vote for Greens.
Wow.
At that time. And because they're anti-war. So he saw the big picture.
Yep.
Which is the whole world. And he said, well, they're the most least harmful. So because don't waste your vote.
Look, with this
there's a few things with these issues at the moment. One is the emotional with the Gaza. We have to be emotional about it. It is tragic, right? But then under the guise of that, not everybody that comes along and with a Muslim name, we should assume that he's the best just because he's Muslim, he's not necessarily the best, especially if you're coming under the banner of ALP and the Liberal Australian Labor Party or Liberal Party or One Nation or whatever, the obvious ones, obvious ones. So definitely they're not the best for Gaza. Who's the best for Gaza? The one who's anti-weapons manufacturing, the one who's anti-war. Those are the best ones in this circumstance. So we should look at that. Somebody's coming in the flag, waving the flag, ALP or Liberals or whatever. Come on. Like in the current situation, they're not doing anything. They,
See, when it comes to LGBTQI, I've had this conversation a few times. What we have to understand is mainstream media controls the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Labor and most of Liberal are very pro LGBTQI.
Mm-hmm.
They have the same policies.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing is it's been focused on, for example, let's use the Greens as an example, that they're the ones pushing it because it creates a divide. So all those people that were thinking about voting Green will be like, nah, we're not going there because of this reason. And if I speak to a lot of Muslims that
But what's left?
There's nothing left.
That's what I'm saying. It's sailed.
When I speak to Muslims, they're like, oh yeah, bro, but they're just pure LGBTQ. I go, mate, wake up. Look around you. There is no...
Especially in Victoria. For those who don't know.
It's not the Greens that pushed it. It's actually Labor that pushed it in Victoria. We don't realise
that. They became more left and left. So
right,
they hijacked this issue.
How deep it is. And they did hijack this issue.
Yeah.
Dan Andrews was amazing at it. Right? They hijacked this issue to win votes. However, all the negative goes to the Greens. And I'm not saying let's vote for Greens or let's vote for Labor or let's vote for Liberal.
Right.
I'm saying all the negative goes towards the Greens. Then all the positives, look what we've done for freedom. And these guys, all they do is complain about LGBTQI.
Yeah.
See the difference?
Yeah.
But look at all those things that we've done to enhance that. But no, you did that because these guys actually pushed for that equality, whether rightly or wrongly, right?
Yeah,
That's not where I'm coming from.
Or
but
wrongly.
like you said, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
We're not fighting for LGBTQI. We're not fighting not to do this, not to do that. It's gone.
Yeah.
The issue of our time is political corruption.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of taxes, the amount of tax big corporations aren't paying.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of politicians that are bought off by big corporations.
Mm-hmm.
If you look
we're
at
becoming like America. We're becoming like America.
We're there.
Yeah.
Right. If you look at the AUKUS deal, very simple. If you look at our gas deals with what we export overseas, if you look at our coal deals with what we export overseas, they make it look like to the Australian taxpayer, this is what we've done, this is what we've done. But when you get into the nitty gritty, the Australian taxpayer is the one that's paying for it. The Greens and certain independents, they bring this to the fore, and you know what it makes it look like? Oh, look at these guys. They got no idea on foreign policy. They've got no economic policy. They don't know how to run a country. We've got economic leadership. No, you're selling the country out. These guys actually are caring for the country.
And taking care of the poor. Like
they're
they
taking
really
care of the poor, the homeless, housing crisis. These big companies speak about, now I'm getting, like, I don't know, I'm jumping on my high side, I suppose. But these big parties speak about housing crisis. What have you done, mate?
Yeah.
Why do we still have such crazy allowances for investment properties and capital gains tax and, all of these things? Like, what did ScoMo call it when they wanted to remove the inheritance, what they wanted to increase or remove the inheritance caps or whatever? It's your death tax. Look at the wording used. Right? And this is why we have literally thousands of properties empty. And there's mothers, single mothers with children living out of cars, fathers with kids living out of cars. I know of one father, 2 children.
Yeah.
3 and 4 years old, 5 years old, something like that. Literally living out of a car.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking when you try and help organize. There's a lot of other factors involved there. Of course, it's not that black and white. However, this thing of LGBTQI, this is what the Greens push, that's gone. Like, let's be smarter.
Yeah.
Let's genuinely be smarter. And you might have an independent that is phenomenal. And then the argument's made, well, this independent's not going to have any voice.
And it's not just about this is where the person saying about the Gaza is not the only issue. It's true. Because, for example, like,
why
protections for families or religious freedoms, right? That you can't be vilified because of your religion. You cannot be like, there will be a conflict between religion. Not conflict, maybe that's a strong word, but between that and certain things that you'll be maybe forced upon you, which is against your deen or against your religion. So against
which
Islam.
is already happening.
So then there's like that law that was being proposed at one point, which was to basically protect religious groups. For example, if somebody espouses views in their organization, their school or whatever, which are against the ethics of that religion or that thing. So I don't think that's happened yet. But let's say somebody...
Is that more important or people setting bombs overseas?
The thing is that the bomb overseas is... like if your kids are in that class and they are raised up traditionally with Islamic values and so forth, and then the teacher was Sam one term, and next term he comes in drag and like he's like Sarah. So like he's like your son is like 3 years old, 10 years old, and 11 years old, and you have to now process all that, right? So
but this is where I think you help the child process.
But at that small level, that family, now this confused child, like how are they going to,
Okay, but this comes back to, this is the LGBTQI thing.
Yeah.
When we were young, it was about grog.
Yeah.
Getting drunk on a Friday night, Saturday night. All the kids are going on dates. Everyone's having a party. From the age of 12, 13, house parties, alcohol, weed. Not for you maybe, but it just depends where you grew up, which area you grew up in. Yeah. Right? But all of these things come into it. The thing that we've got to, as parents, say is, listen, you're a Muslim. They're not. We don't do that. That's not us.
Yeah.
And yes, it has an impact and, all of these other things. But you ask a guy in Palestine whose children are being literally murdered, hey, listen, we've got this issue in Australia. What do you reckon is more important?
As an ummah, we're one body.
That's it.
And we feel the suffering over there. But in the given circumstance of a single family, put the family situation, they're suffering in that interaction. And so you're basically telling them, let's say there is a family that situation, and you're telling them to, suck it up, and we got bigger issues to worry about.
Yeah,
but for them, No, you're saying that's nice of you to say that.
That's the biggest issue for them.
But for them at that moment is their child's understanding is being warped, and so forth. So while the Gaza thing is like we feel it and it's there. So when it comes to the Greens are not the only option. Like there are others as well.
No, I'm not saying Greens are the only option.
But I'm saying like there's pro-family parties, right? So we have to find issues that are common enough in our community that I think definitely the ALP, the Labor Liberal dynamic, I think we need to get away from. That's for sure. We understand
we're
that.
going red and blue like America does.
And we have to go somehow independent. But I think we should not be appealing to quote unquote just automatically Muslim comes along.
Yeah,
I was something I might have mentioned this before as well. Maulana Ubaidullah Sindhi rahmatullah in the early 20th century, he was one of the founders of Jamiyat Ulama Hind, the religious party, right? Became a religious party in the politics there. It was a movement and then became a religious party later on in Pakistan as well called Jamiyat Ulama Islami. But he himself like retracted sort of his after traveling the world and so forth, he came to the conclusion not to go down religious party politics, go along ethnicities, right?
Interesting.
And even as an alim, right? Like people will look out for the interest of their communities. We share a lot with Australians, yeah, community-wise. So, for example, housing crises affect us and them. Rent affects all of us.
Yes.
The banks shafting and whatever, everybody, that affects all of us.
Actually,
The price of food, sorry, let me just get this train of thought, that the price of food affects all of us. On and on and on. There are things that we all know. And majority of people want a normal family life, which is father, mother, and kids. This is normal. This is 90% like that. Pay the bills. So they want their bills to come down. They don't want to be rorted by multinational companies. They don't want Australia to be taken over multinational. They don't want Rupert Murdoch. Ask anybody, 99% people agree with you on these things. Yeah. One of my teachers, he said that. He goes, like, we all agree that we hate banks. Right? All of us agree on this. Like there'll be very rare, like there's someone, even the people working in the banks hate banks. So it's sort of like we have to come to, this is what Maulana Ubaidullah Sindhi was pointing out, that the collective interest of the community, I'm not saying become a socialist or communist, but look at people, maybe you look at society through that and whatever person represents that best, right? Like, are they thinking, like don't do politics where a councillor scratches my back, so I scratch his back. That is the most selfish, lowest for yourself or for your organisation. That is the most selfish, lowest common denominator type of thing. Like this is supposed to be about the whole community, not a subset of the community. And those people probably will win only. They usually get ahead. There are good people in local councils. There are good people there are people in parliament, in parliaments as well, that are good. They have that interest of the greater community. I think that's probably a better approach to these sort of things than just automatically he's got a Muslim name, we're going to be automatically working with him when people are.
That's what they're relying on.
Or her name or whatever, So
that's what they're relying on the tokenistic influence that they can have on Muslims, right? And the thing is,
and we fall for it.
We do. We've been falling for it for the last 50, 100 years. Like we've had these two parties in power, and look, I was red all the way. I was Labour Party all the way. I've been Labour for 20 years. Mm-hmm. Whatever, since I could vote. I've been Labour for 5 years, since the time I turned 18. Right? Yeah. Right? But what's changed? Things have progressively gotten worse. Everybody comes in with the mandate of change and mandate of we're going to make things better. Nothing's gotten better. Mm-hmm. Literally, every year's gotten worse. And just going back to the LGBTQI issue, because I want to put this to bed once and for all. That ship sailed. So when you talk about, that thing about the law coming in, and if someone comes in, the drag queen story time, that family's affected, that ship sailed.
No, I disagree with you on partly the laws of that and the parties adopting that. They're not going to. These big parties or most of the parties will not step back from that. But the protections for family and religious organizations, we should be working on that. Protecting the Muslim family values and so forth, we should be concerned about that. So do you understand the difference?
I do.
That we should not pretend if it's affecting Muslim families, then it bothers.
My point with that is the two big parties haven't come to the party to protect that. They say it, they'll do all the right, they'll say all the right words, but they're not the solution. No matter how much you keep saying it.
Yeah.
Look where we're at.
Yeah.
They are not the solution. right? That's all I'm trying to say. And I think Muslims have to be a bit more nuanced. It's a word that gets thrown around a lot. And a bit smarter in terms of, let's be rational. Let's have a rational discussion. Tell me what you got. Put your cards on the table.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a Muslim girl or Muslim guy like Fatima Payman, she did.
Yeah.
She's been in interviews. The media has annihilated her. The Labour Party has annihilated her.
Yeah.
They've eviscerated her. But she's like, this is what I believe in. This is what I stand for.
Yeah.
Fools, Pauline does it.
Yeah. And she's been around like for...
She does it. So we've got to change this thing of, as Muslims, we should vote for Muslim, or we need to appease or show Islam, like, you know, the apologetic Islam. Right? No. This is what we are. We are a voting bloc. We can influence elections. And there's nothing wrong with that, because that's the whole...
I'm still suspicious of her, Payman, but in terms of the Gaza thing, she took a she took a hit. But at the same time, she's a politician. She's a Labour politician, and she's part of the machine. She's part of anymore, but she went to the top. How many years? Been through the party machinery, whatever. So I'm still... Politicians are politicians for me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're ruthless.
Huh?
But that's fair. I'll give you that.
Politicians are politicians. I don't trust them. Yeah.
But my point is...
one of the alim Pakistan, he said, you know what a politician is?
Pakistani politics.
He goes, you know what a politician is? He makes the third kalima for himself. Instead of saying like all praise is due to Allah, is all praise for me. Subhanallah, Allah is free from. Instead of saying that, he goes, I have no faults. You know, like they bring the. So he was actually a brother. His family, and he was up next for his clan for the seat, and he went to advice, and he said, "This is not for you, mate. Like it's a ruthless, cutthroat business, and you have to have a thick skin. And I get it, like, but." I don't have to. I'm not required to trust you. I actually am more suspicious of you, how you got here, and who's using you, who's behind you.
Show me, and if it's clear and obvious, that's even worse. Like, whose ticket are you running on, or what have you said? Like, what have you said? Because
especially throwing the Gaza thing around, that's really bad for an ALP.
Nowadays,
an ALP rep to throw that around when that's senator. Like for her to get at the top to be treated like that.
Yeah. It just goes to show you're not going to have massive influences. Why, you got someone typing?
Yeah, I'm just saying Assalamu alaikum salam. Irfan has joined us.
From where?
I don't know. Irfan, don't chat on your... I think he's on the way here. So...
Oh, okay.
So good.
I want to ask his opinion on this.
Yeah.
But my point is, it's tough. Just be logical.
Yeah.
Right? Don't base it on LGBTQI. Genuine, like...
It depends.
No, that's what Muslims are doing.
No, I understand. Look, and I said to you, this ship is...
what does it say on... You're the one that showed me. What does it say on the education website? Who put it up there? What is it called? The mature attracted minor.
So,
no, sorry.
Another one from your local council, Irfan. He's saying... it's an independent, inexperienced Muslim candidate better to vote for than experienced non-Muslim who maybe supports some Muslim issues. So I think that says...
What are you saying, vote for the Muslim?
No, he's saying, unfortunately, the majority of Australians have no religious beliefs or not any longer. The politician will only follow whichever direction they think the wind is blowing. There's another brother, Moby. He's saying that...
I disagree with that. Not all politicians.
Okay.
There are some that go...
He's saying majority of Australians are like this. They have no religious beliefs. So religious politics doesn't play well in these countries.
No, it
didn't play well in the UK. And it won't probably play well here either. Like unless it is such a massive benefit and people can see like it has to be so self-evident, so clear as daylight, then, and we have examples of that, and there's a Quranic examples of this.
Give me some.
Yusuf alayhi salam, the keys of treasury was handed because he was such an obvious benefit to that ruler. Obviously interpreted dreams for him.
Do you want to be the treasurer?
No, but look at what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is a prophet of Allah. He's in a different category, obviously. But then he interpreted a dream correctly, and that benefited the king. And then he said 7 years of drought, 7 years of rain, and 7 years of drought. That helped the whole society, right? So you got to think, if like he's in a non-Muslim country and he's serving in as far as we know, and ulama have talked about this, serving in a non-Muslim parliament government, and he served in a non-Muslim government. That's a dalil that's used by many ulama. which I've written books and so forth, that here he's working in the system, and not just anybody. He's like he was became treasurer, or prime minister, and
the Muslim version of Josh Frydenberg.
Astaghfirullah. He was a prophet of Allah. So he was overseeing the granaries and so forth and whatnot. But it shows you that he can work, but on his own standards and so. But
he didn't sell his. He didn't compromise.
Yeah, he didn't
That's
compromise. Yeah,
he didn't compromise.
Yeah, he was a result of not compromising.
Yes,
which is 10 years in jail.
Yeah,
right.
Was it 10 years?
10 years, yeah, or more.
Wow.
Yeah. So that, obviously he's a prophet of Allah. He's the best example of the prophets alayhim salam. They are the best example, non-compromise on the truth. They don't commit sins, minor or major. So they're in a special league in terms of, because they're chosen by Allah and they're divinely protected from sins. And also they don't bow down, to tyrants. And so anyway, that example is there. So how do you work with,
Don't compromise and just work what's for the best of society.
Yeah, and it's possible you can work outside of government as well for the benefit of society. Khan Academy, there's a Bangladeshi brother, I think Bangladeshi, from US.
That's amazing.
And he basically provided, like his motto, like their motto, free education for everyone forever.
I've seen some of their work. I tried to get my son to do it.
Yeah.
Dude, you can start from prep.
Yeah, up to year 12.
Uni.
End
up with a degree.
Yeah.
In aeronautical engineering if you want.
Yeah.
In astronomy if you want. Like, you can literally teach us. Now that I'm saying that, I need to learn how to fix my website. Right? You can literally teach yourself everything from that place. All for free. Someone's texting?
Yeah, no, Moby's saying that the major political parties no longer represent the people. Their first interests are the power brokers, donors, whatever the US and Zionists tell them to do. That's true. We already mentioned that before. That is very, very true. And that's part of the problem. And that's why, like, somebody's coming through that system, or those structures, ALP, Labour, Liberal, generally.
Yeah, how are you? You can't change it. You cannot possibly think you're going to have an influence on that.
Yeah, the people who voted for them are a distant memory after the election is one. Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
I like that line.
Yeah,
read that again. The people who
voted for them are a distant memories after the election is one.
Yep.
Yeah, power and money will change a person. You get them into power and position. They're rubbing shoulders with the bigwigs, and people business interests are after them. They're having cocktail party. I mean, I don't know if the Muslims, brother, sister, they'll be having cocktail party, but they are. Rubbing shoulders over the...
Is it power corrupts? Absolutely, and absolute power corrupts.
Yeah, which probably doesn't have nothing to do with any saying, but it's a good saying. But
it's an amazing saying.
So, but it's like money, right? So let's take away power, money, and the money, same thing. Money comes, people change. Like, people do change. It's very rare someone doesn't change because of fame, name, or power and so forth. So there's very few people...
You're making all that money off your... so... But you haven't changed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen my car.
Inshallah, one day.
Astaghfirullah. Yeah. So it's true. Like, so we're voting for somebody who's very ambitious in politics. Like, I get it that the system is this. Islamically, we're not supposed to give power to somebody who wants it. So it's like throws the whole thing. That hadith blows torpedoes this out of like the water. Like, then you like try to reconcile. Like,
that just throws democracy, like the whole democratic process of,
especially these like the lower level things. Yeah, it's possible somebody might have been trying to do certain things. Let's say trying to fix the homeless issue in the area. Then they've been thrust like into the political limelight, because then I'll have to become a councillor to get this thing done, else it's not going to get done. I need to raise this issue at the bigger thing.
That's how they all start.
No, I'm saying not everybody. Somebody start as political career. They are political machines.
Albo, he was very much pro-Palestine. There's videos of him.
Protest,
right? Videos of him, like literally just
the young elbow.
The young elbow, like from the idealist, from the housing blocks, all of that. And look at Elbow now.
Yeah.
Look at Penny Wong.
Yeah.
She's more of a disappointment for me than Elbow, because I'm from South Australia.
Yeah.
And Penny Wong was all the other factors. It was just like, this one cares.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one that's the heartbreak for me.
Yeah.
So now,
I it's like, what do you do with these? I just don't trust. I don't trust someone who's coming with no track record, no community work, has an interest in politics, but there's nothing to back up in social welfare of the community. Do you understand? Like, I don't trust.
Just Muslim name being dropped in.
Correct.
Like
Parachuted
in New South Wales, what's happening in Victoria, Perth, like all over the world.
Yeah.
All over.
So,
Australia,
like, what's your track record actually doing something for the community?
And they're being dropped into the major Muslim areas, which is
there are people that we know.
Political move.
There's people that we know that do charities. They help with homeless, soup kitchens. They will never. Those people don't have inkling. Like, they've got a track record of like 2 decades,
and they'll never come forward and
they'll never go to politics. They do it quietly
right.
for the sake of Allah,
They
do it. We know people. We know we're friends like that.
They're the ones that should actually be in politics.
They will care, and they will. Yeah. They know the real problems and the pain of the community. Yeah,
they're not sitting on their high horse.
So someone is like very, like they want to be politicians. Those people are problems. You can see it. Like, they want to be. They love.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Like, this is my point. Like, it just sounds so ugly.
Yeah. Like they've been in Australia 5 years.
Someone asked me.
Like, there's a lot of these ones like now 5 years, and they are like really want to be in a.
I'm not going to even go there right now.
What's MSM?
Mainstream media.
Oh, okay. It's owned by billionaires. They are not friends of the working class. The MSM owners rub shoulders with politicians, and an unholy alliance forms against their sheeple masses.
Which is correct.
Yeah.
Australia should not have.
We don't disagree with you, brother
or sister. With the wealth,
I don't know who you are.
With the wealth that Australia has, we should not have a homelessness crisis.
Yeah.
With the resources that we have, our gas prices and petrol prices shouldn't be. Maybe
but it's a tolerable pain for the multinationals, the ones who make the money.
Yeah.
It's a tolerable. They've done the calculation. Yeah, 100,000 homeless in Melbourne is tolerable.
Yeah, it's all right.
5 million a house.
There's 5 billion profit in this.
Yeah. So they've done the calculation. This is a tolerable. It's like there's a level of dirt on the road, astaghfirullah azim, that is acceptable.
And how does
like one, let's say on each kilometer road, one McDonald packet and a cup is tolerable rubbish if the rest of the street is clean. That's how they probably look at it.
Yeah, but that's increasing and increasing and increasing exponentially.
Yeah.
Now, what?
Yeah.
How do you become like that?
Like wanting to be in power?
No, not just that. Just not caring. How ruthless? Like, what makes a man into something that owns these conglomerates or whatever, and they just don't care?
Mm.
Is it they don't care, or is it they're preparing for the Dajjal? That's another very deep question. No, that's a serious question. Not to be answered right now. I don't know, but think about what I'm saying.
I don't understand what you're saying.
So when he comes, everything's going to be with him. The food's going to be with him. Everything.
So Lynn Fox
will be successful.
Right?
I'm not saying Lynn Fox is just the Dajjal.
I'm just saying.
God,
I'm just
where
saying.
Are you going?
No, I'm saying the billionaires. You're saying about the billionaires.
I'm talking about even millionaires.
Yeah.
There's people that are millionaires, or there's people that are worth like 500K.
Yeah.
But they act like they're worth $1 billion, and they're ruthless towards poor people.
Mm.
Like, care factor 0. That's what I struggle with.
Mm.
Like, how do you not care?
Maybe their selfishness, what they want for themselves, that's how they got the millions and everything, is so much that they don't have time to stop. Else they feel that that will stop their progress in acquiring more.
And stop and think about what's actually going on.
Yeah, exactly. It's maybe like they don't want to face the reality, because once they do, it'll crumble their whole like trajectory, their whole momentum. They have a momentum for more and more and more.
And their life was a lie.
Their momentum, yeah, and then they have to face the reality that their life is it's a BS. Their life is BS. It's nonsense. Yeah. Because if you think about it, if your goal is in politics not to help society, and okay, someone said that, can we encourage the younger Muslim generation to engage in politics, and what are the unique challenges they face in political activism today? We'll get to that. We'll get we'll get to that. We'll get to that in the moment.
That's a really good question.
That's a good question. We'll get to that in a moment. But before that, where were we? Analyzing the type of person that will come up. I think just having a Muslim name, number one, is not sufficient.
No, it's not.
I think track record has to be there. I think the type of track record has to be there.
Not necessarily track record, because if you look at this new generation that's going to come up, just going back to that question, it's what are you saying in public? That's important. It's not what you're saying in private. What are you willing to go on the record for?
Yeah.
Are you going on the record for no, I believe in a two-state solution? Example,
Yeah.
right? Or no, we'll work it out once I get in there and I'll sort it out.
Yeah, it doesn't work like that, yeah.
What are you willing to put yourself out there for and get, smashed by the media for? Okay, anyway, keep going.
So when it comes to these type of people, I think we have to start identifying genuine. We have to
genuine. I think you meant identifying these types of people and pointing them out.
Yeah,
you're a prick.
Yeah. No, we have to identify what's people. And the only way you can do is by the work they've done. Yeah. Intentions we don't know.
That's right.
But I think people that generally are working for the benefit of the whole society, not just Muslims, society, which will benefit the Muslims
and
as
it's
well.
Not just volunteer work with photos, the photo of volunteer work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Anyone can do photo of volunteer work. Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
I'm at the soup kitchen, but let's just take a quick photo for that.
Yeah.
Anyone can do that.
Yeah. Someone's got decades of community housing. They've done charitable works. They've actually taken care. So he said, how can we encourage the younger Muslim generation engage in politics? Well, we've had some ministers, Muslim ministers. They will channel, if you talk to them, because they're so partisan, they will channel them to Young Labour and Liberal, right?
That's
the ones that experience, they'll do that. So sometimes maybe you need to get someone who's Australian political scientist, Muslim. But there are many brothers and sisters who study political science, but they have to volunteer their time to teach Muslims about institutions.
To teach the youth.
About institutions. What private schools teach, which public schools generally don't teach. That's one of the things John Taylor Gatto, there's a video of him you can go through, he's in his books as well, that you can see that the 14 things that private schools teach, public schools don't teach. One of them is theory of access. That's one thing, like how to access the mayor's office or the premier's office or the minister. Like understand the institutions that run the country, military, right? Treasury.
Understand how the country works, how
state
politics
parliament,
actually works.
federal, and how these structure. What are the structures? What are the parts? And theory of access in these institutions. So you need someone to educate the community, actually approach and show the steps and so forth. So hopefully within them, still it requires, if a young person comes, somebody could just want power or money, and this could be the hustle. There are a lot of young people that are doing hustles, and it's fine if it's halal.
Politics is not a hustle, not till you get up to the top.
Yeah.
It's the grind.
Yeah.
So I think it's more about keeping that initial reason you went into politics for alive. Keeping that freshness.
Yeah.
That I entered politics to make a difference, not be part of the system.
Yeah. That's a very hard thing because a person has to be so engaged with like I'm being maybe a bit harsh, but at the same time, I don't trust politicians. Muslims are otherwise,
That's fair. I think that's the majority of Australia.
They're so I think educating.
There are some politicians that are
even at the mosque level, if it's educated, like not in the mosque itself, but mosques have multi-facilities, have classes for it, teach them about.
So why don't you have do that?
Part of the curriculum, Australian curriculum, is a very basic. It's so minimal what students have to learn about democracy and the system. It's a very, very basic level of understanding, and it's so the way it's presented. The way it's presented. That's what John Taylor Gatto is like. If you could get a meeting, if you're studying political science or what do you call it? Citizens. What's a subject? It's a subject. Like it's actually taught at school. Civics, right? These subjects were taught. So civics, if it's taught in a way that where it's not about writing an essay. I think that's what he was talking about in civics. Is it would be more powerful and more better if they can organize a meeting with the mayor, for example. That's right. The mayor is an accessible person. They sit in the office. They have an office.
That's right. You can.
These are the tasks, the jobs they do all day. Okay, how did they become mayor? How did they become things? And they should have a mission. These individuals should have a mission. Like they should have.
Why don't you, as an influential person in our community, whether you want to believe it or not, if there's any political scientists or anyone that can assist with this, contact Sheikh Khalid. Why don't you start some classes? Start something. Not
class on
not
policy,
madrasa.
political. That's
Yeah.
way out of my.
No, not you. Help
Yeah.
facilitate. If there's someone that's like politically savvy that can
Yeah.
assist, start with the youth. Start with 20-year-olds. Start with 25-year-olds.
Yeah.
Start with 18-year-olds. It's got to start somewhere, and then they can teach other people because you've got so much free time on your hands.
Yeah, right. I'm 1 hour from home. You drive 10 minutes. Do I have to drop you off?
Yeah.
Okay. Wallah alam, Mr. George Ansari.
what?
George Ansari doesn't sound real, but Mr. George Ansari. That's the name.
George
Asked
Ansari.
a question about the youth engaging. I think first there needs an education on.
He's
on
a
it.
plant. He's a plant.
Somebody asked, "What is the ruling on wiping on socks?"
Oh God!
Did you just? It's
Are you gonna give the?
There's a difference of opinion.
Okay.
But
Answer the question for the guy just to make it easy for him. Something simple.
Yeah, so there's difference of opinion on even contemporary sheikhs. Majority views that has to be waterproof, while other views are that it doesn't have to be, but it's have to be very thick. You can't see the skin underneath. Better thing is to wear.
That's every sock.
Well, this is not non-leather socks we're talking about. So leather socks, of course, automatically the water doesn't penetrate in the sense of directly to the leather. But the wiping socks, just on this, I'll mention it briefly because somebody asked, but this is not really a fatwa. We're in the Masjid Carpark.
Coburg Mosque sells really good ones. Sorry. That wasn't a plug for the mosque. So what is it? Wipe?
Ooh, Jordan Sari's asked the big hot. This is a bit maybe because we're running out of time.
No, we're not. Go. He's worried about this. That's what I wanted
If
to go.
Muslims align with the far left movements, can Islamic principles effectively contribute to contemporary social justice causes like Black Lives Matter or the fight against climate change?
You shouldn't talk about climate change, first of all. Right?
Yeah.
Right? However, even BLM, if you have a look at...
All lives matter, don't they?
But that's my point. I agree. I'm on that page.
Yeah. I know what they're saying. I think that's a very specific United States thing. I know there is...
I think it got hijacked.
Yeah.
And it became this fashionable cause.
Yeah, I think we talked about this before as well. We did talk about it before.
Like I said last time, all these Indian actors and actresses that were like promoting Fair and Lovely are jumping on the BLM bandwagon.
And also the people, the specific leadership of that movement. So one is a general movement, the idea, which nobody would disagree with. And then there's specific, the organization of Black Lives Matter was problematic because they were anti-family and they specifically said to break up the nuclear. Like there was explicit.
And they were it was actually registered as a business. So a lot of these donations didn't go to...
Yeah, they did those three ladies did very well. So from it. So
sometimes
anyway.
I think, damn, I should have opened up a website.
Yeah.
Just a crowdfunding for BLM. People were donating without even looking at what they were going to do with the money.
Oh my God. You're asking Ali, you're asking the wrong questions in the wrong time and place. We're talking about politics. Maybe save this for another time, inshallah. This is not a fiqh or aqidah session.
Do you do that?
What?
You know your podcast that you do from the mosque?
I don't do podcasts from the mosque.
No, you know what I'm talking about. Your dars
It's not live.
Maybe you need to start a live question answer thing.
I need to check books and so forth, and you're going to get very bored. You're going to get very bored. It's very hard to do live because there's so many questions. You just have to say, I don't know, which might not make compelling viewing.
Do you want me to do it?
Yeah. I think the social justice...
Do you want me to start?
We previously... Sorry, just regarding the brother mentioning regarding the far left and so forth. Yeah, on things that are community-wide beneficial, then generally, I think... But we also have to be careful that there are not... Some of these organizations are hijacked by big corporate and
you have no idea.
So even the social justice issues, they do jump on these things and they promote these things and they pay a lot of money for it. And this is to wash away. I mean, you've got like weapon manufacturers that are BLM supporting and social justice causes. So that's how they hide their crimes.
Who wrote the treaty? Guess who wrote the treaty?
The treaty for?
The Uluru Statement of the Heart.
Who?
The biggest Zionist law firm in Australia.
There you go. Yeah.
And they're talking about they're supporting indigenous rights. How ironic is that?
Yeah. All right. I think we call it a night. We've discussed a lot. conclusion: don't trust politicians.
Oh, wow.
Unless there's a track record, and
Be
giving them benefit of the doubt.
and be logical in your arguments that you put forward, not emotional.
Yeah,
Because when you're emotional, you lose the person and you just lose the people.
yeah, and track record takes time and age, and youth is defined by inexperience.
Vote for Sheikh Khalid from the Ummah Center for Prime Minister.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you.
You ain't winning. You're not winning, brother. You'd be ruthless.
I would be.
You'd be like
You'd be.
He'd be
It would be a
ruthless,
theocracy.
guys. Yeah, don't vote for him. He'd be ruthless.
So,
All of a sudden, he's standing up in a BMW.
anyway, all right. Jazakallah khair, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Just for next time, please This is the Masjid Carpark. The fiqh questions, although I answered one briefly, but keep it.
But the thing is, maybe people don't have access to ulama.
Yeah, but that's not the place in the car park. Inshallah, we'll have a.
Ask your local alim or visit Sheikh Khalid at Ummah Center and ask him.
All right, assalamu alaikum.
I want to see a big line outside of his office.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, he's trying to get rid of me. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.